We're going to make chocolate mousse, which is a great dessert for all occasions. The trick to chocolate mousse is to get lots of air in it, so you really do want an electric mixer for this one. If you don't have one, you can use a metal bowl and a whisk, put some ice down, put some ice in a tea towel, put that in a circle and put your bowl on top of the ice, and you'll just have to use a lot of arm strength and it will take a little bit longer. So it's better if you have an electric mixer. Even just a handheld blender or a food processor will do the same thing. So to start with, you want 200 grams of dark cooking chocolate, and you're going to put this into a heat-proof bowl. So I already have mine in my heat-proof bowl. You want it in small chunks, and then you're going to put your 4 tablespoons of water in there, and then you're going to stick this in the microwave for 30 seconds. While that's happening, you can start making the rest of the mousse. Now you need to separate the eggs for your mousse. So what you want to do is you're going to put your yolks in here because we're going to use these first. Now you can separate an egg with an egg separator. It's just as easy to do it with the shell. So you just break it slightly and then move it from shell to shell until you get all the yolk out. You want to try and collect, all the white out. You want to try and collect the yolk in each shell. Just keep doing this. And if you've got a little bit, you can just pull it and it should all come out. And you have a separated egg. Now you need, to make this chocolate mousse, you need 3 separated eggs. If you break your shell, like I just did, then you can also do it in your hand. Once the yolk breaks, it's better to just put in whatever white you've got in the yolks, because it's not a big problem if you get white in the yolk, but it is a big problem if you get yolk in the white. You want your eggs at room temperature, so take them out of the fridge about 15 minutes before you're ready to start making this. So into your... So you've separated your eggs. Now we're going to get the chocolate out, because I forgot about that. You're going to give it a stir, because that will continue the melting process. And then, once it doesn't look like it's going to stir anymore, so it should have thickened up a little bit, and you shouldn't see the water as a separate part of the chocolate anymore. Just gonna get as much chocolate off there as possible back into the bowl. And then you're going to put this back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. I'm going to put 2 dessert spoons of sugar. And these are leveled spoons, so these aren't, you don't want sugar bounding over the dessert spoon. So you want it just like that. That into the eggs. And we're going to beat the egg yolks until they're nice and light and fluffy and pale yellow. So while your eggs are still beating, I've taken the chocolate out of the microwave, and it's now, and I've given it a stir, it's now a nice glossy chocolate. You can see it here. It's a nice, very glossy melted chocolate, and you're just going to pop this to one side to cook. It does take quite a bit of time to get your eggs to be the... That was my phone. It does take quite a bit of time for your eggs to be the consistency that you want. So you can see they've gotten a little bit thicker, and they're almost a yellow colour as opposed to orange. So you're going to add your egg yolks into the chocolate. Now you want to have left the chocolate for at least 5 minutes, which is about what it takes for your eggs. Because if you put the egg in the chocolate too soon, you're going to have scrambled eggs and chocolate. Trust me, it's not that nice. So we've added our eggs to our chocolate, and you just need to stir this in. Now with this bit, you can be quite forceful. So you want it to be all nice and stirred in there. And you're going to get just a very glossy chocolate. Now, you want the chocolate to have cooled down, but you want it to be just above room temperature, because that way you're cooking the egg a little bit, you're just not scrambling it. So it means that it's safe to eat. You'll have killed any of the bacteria or viruses or anything that's nasty in the eggs. You'll have killed it by mixing it with the warm chocolate. So you just want it to be a very glossy colour, very deep, dark, chocolatey colour that's nice and shiny. So just something like that. So it should kind of dollop off. So in a nice clean bowl, we're going to beat 2/3 of a cup of thickened cream. So you're just going to whip that up until it's nice and thick and you can kind of dollop it. So it should look like whipped cream that you'd see on a cake. So your cream should be reasonably thick. It doesn't fall off the spatula that quickly. Now, with both the cream and the egg yolks, it's really important to beat them at a steady speed, because you don't want to overbeat them, because if you overbeat them, you'll end up with curdled cream and useless eggs. So once you've got your cream, you're just going to put it into your chocolate mixture. Now, you want the chocolate mixture to be room temperature right now, so you're not going to curdle your cream. You're going to fold in your cream into your chocolate mixture. This just means cutting the mixture in half and pouring it over. So you cut it in half and then you fold it. Just like if you were folding paper or laundry, you'd fold it into halves. It's basically what you're doing. So you're just pushing the mixture over. Now, it's better if you have a metal spoon, but you can use a wooden spoon, you can use a spatula. You just need to be very, very gentle with it. And you are folding it and not mixing it because you want to keep as much of the air that you've just trapped in the cream by beating it as possible. So your mousse will get slightly runnier, but that's okay. You kind of want that. And then you're just going to fold that in. Make sure it's nicely folded, nicely mixed in, so there's not lumps of chocolate or cream by themselves. This will have made your mixture paler as well. You will get a lighter brown. If you're using the same bowl, like I am, to mix your egg and your cream and your egg whites, you want to make sure that between each, you give it a good wash and a dry, because you don't want these layers mixing until you're ready for them to mix. So you're just going to pop your egg whites in there. And again, you're going to beat this. You're going to beat this till it's what we call stiff peaked. So that basically means that when you put a spoon into it and you draw the spoon out, you get a nice peak. Again, start slow and then speed it up a little bit, but keep it nice and steady. So your egg should be quite white, and where the bead has been, there should be marks. As you can see, it's nice and stiff, it's not falling off the spatula. And if you've done it correctly, take all this off. So if you've done this stage correctly, you can tip the bowl upside down and you won't get egg white falling out. It won't actually move at all. You can just hold it upside down because it's nice and stiff. And if you can see this, you can see there's nice peaks when you run a spoon through it. So this next step requires being quite gentle. You want to take a little bit of it, and again you're just going to fold it in. So you're going to slice it down the middle and then just push your chocolate over it. Now this bit has to be done slowly and carefully and quite gently because you want to trap that air. You want that light fluffiness of the egg whites that you've just created, because that's what gives the mousse its texture. Otherwise, if you happen to have a mishap, don't worry about it. Keep making it. Don't throw it out. Instead of having chocolate mousse, you'll just have chocolate custard. Both equally delicious. One, you just have to serve a little bit runnier, basically. So you should have noticed that with all of your beating, your egg whites, your egg yolks and your cream all expanded. They all look like they got bigger in size. This is because there's lots of air trapped in there, and that's what you want. You want that air. Now, you won't have noticed as much with the egg whites and the cream as you will have, sorry, with the egg yolks and the cream as you will have with the egg whites. And that's why we put the egg whites in last, because we want their fluffiness, we want their air to stay in there, so we don't want to be over mixing it. Okay, so you've mixed in all the egg whites, so you've got this nice fluffy chocolatey mixture. Now is the final step. If you want to serve it individually, you're just going to spoon or pour some into ramekins, which are little individual pots. Otherwise, you can just keep the mousse in the bowl that you just made it in, and you can just stick both of them, all of that, in the fridge. And it takes, in little ramekins like this, it'll take about 2 hours to chill, so it's nice and fluffy and soft and cold to eat. In a big container, it'll take about 4 to 5 hours. So you want to just make sure it's nice and cool, and it should have gone a slightly paler brown than what you see here. And you can just serve it with some chocolate sprinkles and whipped cream and you're good. So this is the mousse finished and being eaten. So Rach, is it nice and light and fluffy?
It's amazing. So fluffy.
And I'm just going to zoom in on it. As you can see, it's nice and fluffy, and you can't really see, but there's lots of little bubbles in there.
I can see.
You can see the bubbles?
I can taste them.
Excellent.